All right, guys, we're back. I shouldn't be smiling. We're talking about suicide. So, as I alluded to in the last video, this was one. I mean, Durkheim wrote several just amazing books, and suicide was one of them. He combed through suicide data from different countries, and he found these really interesting, again, sad, morbid patterns. I'm not going to go through all of the details of them, it would just take too long. Um, but the type of patterns he looked at were like, why is it that Protestant people seem to commit suicide in greater numbers than Catholic people within the same country? That's kind of a strange thing to realize. Why would a person's religion matter if, and we're not talking about socioeconomic class mattering either. So it's just religion seems to be the operant variable. Why would that be? He did that with a whole bunch of different sort of demographic variables, and he came up with this sort of understanding of different types of suicide, different reasons for suicide, not individual reasons. Every individual has their own reason, but societal level patterns that influenced suicide rates. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Remember, what at the core of Durkheim is people need a strong common morality to be regulated. In order for that to happen, they need to be integrated into society. And so but really importantly, you had to be regulated and integrated in the at the right level. It could be that it's too low, and we see that over here, but it could also be that you are too integrated or too regulated. It really has to be sort of a just right situation in order for the morality to allow you to live a fulfilling life. So these are the sort of types of suicide that he found based on whether a person was too highly integrated, too highly regulated, or too lowly integrated or regulated. If you are too highly integrated into society, if you feel like there's no you, it's all about the society, then that type of suicide he called altruistic. This is not a huge problem in modern societies, but in societies that are more tradition-based, it absolutely can be. If you dishonor your family or your society, then suicide might be the option that you would choose. Now, we're not going to focus on that one in terms of the problem that we are trying to deal with, which is pathological divisions of labor and pathological divisions of labor in modern life. But it's important to understand that that's what a suicide from somebody who is too integrated would look like. A person who is too highly regulated, this one actually is more likely to happen in the modern world, but in a totalitarian state. If you think about North Korea, where your entire life is under the eye of society, well, of the government within a society, where you feel like you have no freedom. That's a life that would be very difficult for people to be able to say, yeah, it's worth continuing to live. From Durkheim's perspective, remember, regulation needs to be such that it represses your pleasure seeking, but also allows you to live a fulfilling life. How do you live a fulfilling life in a totalitarian state? It doesn't lead to a fatalistic suicide in all people, but that is the type of suicide that would happen in that sort of a society. But our focuses for our sort of modern capitalist division of labor are going to be this side of the table. If you are too lowly integrated into society, and so think about those pathological divisions of labor that led to you being poorly integrated into your society. he defines this one as being too integrate, or I'm sorry, of being too lowly integrated as egoistic. You don't feel as though the society is something that you would sacrifice for, but for Durkheim, that means you don't really have a sense of moral purpose. You are kind of on that pleasure seeking. It's all about you experience that he is trying to have a society's common morality to prevent in the first place. This is sort of the problem that he is trying to deal with, or one of the problems he's trying to deal with by coming up with a common morality. And then if your regulation is too low, hold on one second, I know it's right there, but I want to make sure that I've got my notes. Regulation that is too low leads to anomic suicide. Anomic suicide is that idea of, I'm not sure what moral standards, I may feel attached to our society, I may feel integrated, but I'm not sure what to do with my life. What standards should I apply to myself? Which, for Durkheim, this can be an overwhelming experience. How do you know how to organize your life if you don't know what standards should be applied to it? Okay, so this is a very, like, almost criminal recap of Durkheim's monumental work, Suicide. As I said, I'm reading my notes on my conclusion. In modern society with our type of pathological division of labor, weak collective consciousness, these are the problems that we are more likely to experience. And Durkheim saw these problems in Europe of his day. So what's the solution? Durkheim, remember, he's a social scientist, but he also he's doing his research because he cares about people. He wants them to have fulfilling lives. And he says, okay, so this is what we've got. We have this sort of pathological division of labor. Yeah, the ideal situation is to fix that, so we don't have that. But to the extent that we do, are there other things that we can do to try to integrate and regulate people properly into society? That subject will be for our next video.